The first book I want us to talk about is Grace. It's the first book in the Shackleford Sisters Series by Beverley Watts. And this whole series has been fun. I'm not quite finished with it yet, but I have read the first several. And this family is outrageous. And it's funny. It's romantic. How this happened, it starts quite by chance. He's the most prominent figure in all of the series, and that's the father. And Augustus Shackleford. He is a reverend. He is the vicar. Duke of Blackmore the Duke of Blackmore has been estranged from his father for 20 years. And of course his father dies. He's had to be brought back to run the estate. And he's in his early 30s, and he's been in the continent, he's never liked anything about the marriage mark. The Beaumont is just, he does not want to deal with these ambitious mamas. But he also knows he's got a responsibility. So the figure goes to see him as soon as he gets back to the estate. And of course, Augustus Shackleford's mission in life, because he had 8 daughters by his previous wife. Well, now he's got these 8 daughters that he has to hope to get off of his hands and find good matches for. And it gets quite hilarious, because not only is he an interfering father, he's kind of left them on their own for years, and they're all country bumpkins. They're all quite hoydenish, and unlike their names, they really have no redeeming qualities as far as a marriage is concerned, as far as a wife is concerned. And so he does have an heir, but by the time he gets, all these 8 daughters taken care of, if he has to take care of himself, there won't be any money for the heir. So he goes to visit the Duke. The first thing out of the hat is Nicholas Sinclair says, "Don't you have 8 daughters?" And, of course, Augustus looking at him like, "Yeah, so what?" And he says, "I need a wife. Bring me one." And that's pretty much how it starts. So it's hilarious, the Reverend thinks, "Oh my Lord, how did I fall into this?" And of course, he tries to explain to the Duke that Grace, his oldest daughter, is, she's dutiful, she's perfect, she'll be wonderful. Well, needless to say, Grace is your typical independent, raised in the country, no town bronze, hoyden. And so it starts off rather badly, because if there's one thing that Nicholas portrays is a very snobby, uppish, even though he didn't want to be a part of it, that's still who he is. And so a lot of back and forth goes on, a lot of arguing, because Grace, marries him, but she wanted to marry for love. She's got this romantic, thoughts in her head. And a lot happens. Of course, the Reverend wants to make sure everything is perfect, so his interference only makes things worse. And we go along, and you're always going to have these problems. That's what it's all about in a romance novel. But the stubbornness, and they're both very stubborn, the Duke and the Duchess. They don't want to listen to the other one, and they've got their minds made up how life is going to be. And of course, men, being typical as they are, he does what most men do. They run off. And of course, as soon as he leaves, he's sorry he does. And but the angst back and forth, nobody listening, wasn't enough to throw me out of it, which I have had books that I've gotten so irritated with. It's like, I can't deal with it anymore. This is not one of them. And there's so much fun in it. Of course, there is an animal involved, Freddie, and we get introduced to him early on. And then, of course, the Reverend and his curate, Percy, they are just a lovable couple. Even though you get really irritated with the Reverend in this first book, you learn throughout the series that he really and truly means well. He's only wanting what's best for his daughters. And it really is a fun book. The further you get into the series, the better the whole series gets. And I did enjoy Grace. It's well worth reading. It's a quick read, so it doesn't take long. And then we can move on and add a little mystery into the series, which Beverley Watts is very, very good at. She's a great writer. Remember, the heat level is 3, and the angst level is a 3, but I did want to repeat about the heat level. It is a 3.